Hey everybody, today's question is how many calories do you burn in an Ironman? That's a really good question. And I think by the time you get to the Ironman level of endurance sport, your body is at a certain physicality that you're pretty efficient at what you do. So you're actually going to find, you might be surprised that you're going to burn fewer calories than you think you might. But at the beginning of your Ironman experience, when you may not be in like your peak physical fitness level. I mean, shoot, I was 45 years old when I did my first Ironman. I was probably, had the potential to be in better shape when I was 25 to 30, but I did this when I was 45. So even though I was in remarkably good physical conditioning for a 45-year-old, who's to say that a 25-year-old's body might have reacted differently? So again, you've got to have a little bit of context when it comes to the question, how many calories will your body burn? Your body is spent, if you're doing an Ironman and you've done it correctly, you've trained correctly, your body is adapted to this lifestyle, to this way of eating and consuming fuel and burning calories, and it's looked for some efficiencies to be very efficient at what it does. Now, one of the really interesting things that I learned was when I got my first copy of Joe Friel's Triathlete's Bible, what I was doing is I was actually making notes after each one of my races. You can see I've got some pretty decent printouts here of all the stuff that I was doing on my races. I keep it sort of in the leaflet of this book. But in my first Ironman, I burned just over 12,000 calories over the course of 14 hours. So I was probably, I would say, more fit in my second Ironman at 47, and I burned just under 12,000 calories. So the thing is, I think you get to the point with your body, and I'm not an expert. If you know the answer to this question, why this happens, please share it in the comments. But my body, being, at that point, 47 years old, again, I just burned under 12,000 calories in 11 and a half hours. So was it that I was pushing myself harder that caused me to burn more calories than I did in 2011 when I was 2 years younger and I did that race in 14 hours? So slow and steady maybe caused me to burn a few more calories. I'm really not sure. If you know the answer, weigh in the comments. What I can tell you is you can expect to burn about 700 to 800 calories on average per hour, and then just multiply that across how many hours you're actually going to be doing the race. Now, a professional triathlete is going to finish a regular distance Ironman in just around 8 hours. Some pros finish just under 8 hours. I mean, the new records are always being set. But the average time frame is 8 hours for a triathlon for a pro. And then, the age groupers, us people who are just doing it for fun, anywhere from 9 hours up to 17 hours. And I have to imagine if you're putting your body through that wall and you're posting a really super fast time, you're expending a lot more energy than the person who is out there for 14, 15, 16, 17 hours. But they're out there for 14, 15, 16, 17 hours, and they're still moving. They might be moving at, their average heart rate. They might be in the, zone 2, zone 3 heart rate zones, which means that you're between, say, 60 and 80% of your maximum heart rate, but they're doing it for a longer period of time. Maybe they're walking and they're still burning 400 calories an hour walking, but they're doing that for 2 more hours than you did if you were doing the race in 11 hours. So, there's a lot of variables depending on your physicality and depending on how long you're on the race course. But I would guesstimate a good number would be somewhere between 600 to 700 calories per hour on average for every hour that you're on the race course. And again, most triathletes, most age groupers are going to finish anywhere between, say, 11 hours if you're a really good athlete to 17 hours if you're a regular human being. And then, there's nothing wrong with any of those times. Hey, the first and only goal of the Ironman is to get to the finish line. And it's such a hard thing to do. There's an equal amount of respect for everybody who crosses the finish line in 8 hours as there is as somebody who crosses in 17 hours. And I can tell you, the Ironman finish line is a party. And one of the greatest traditions of the Ironman that I didn't know existed, and you'll experience this when you do your first Ironman race, is that the male and female winners of the race come back at the end of the day, and they're the ones who hand out the medals at the 17th hour, because there's a whole other level of appreciation for people who are out there for 17 hours. more than twice as long as the pros are on the course for. So they're suffering for twice as long. And sometimes it's just because they're older. Sometimes it's because they've got some sort of a physically challenging condition that's causing them to take more time. We all come at this from our own unique world and our own unique set of conditions. And there's a very, very healthy amount of respect amongst all Ironman triathletes for everybody who is brave enough to step up to the starting line and for everybody who is mentally and physically strong enough to get through that finish line. And I will tell you, it is more mental than it is physical getting to that finish line. So hopefully that answered your question. I went a little bit on to the mental side of things, but yeah, you should expect to burn between 600 to 700 calories an hour for every hour that you're on the race course. Hopefully that helped. If you have more questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, the whole point of this channel really is to connect with other beginner triathletes who have questions. My role as the age group ambassador for Triathlon Ontario was always to go out and talk to beginners and to answer the questions they had so that they would be less scared and more inclined to try to do a triathlon. For me, it's been a way of life. This is my fountain of youth. And I think that anybody who's really embraced the sport in a sustainable way like I have, you'll answer the same. It's your lease on life as you grow older. I'm 58 years old and I feel like I'm 25, with the exception of the fact that my hip flares up every now and then, which you get some Aleve, you pop a couple of Aleve pills and off you go. You're out back in the races, back in the game. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answered that question. Got a few more questions to answer for this week, so check that out in the next video, which will be, I think, here. Bye for now.